Here, we'll work with symbols, which are reusable art objects that are stored in the Symbols panel. You can draw a flower and create a symbol from it, and then you could quickly add multiple instances of that flower symbol to your artwork, which saves you from having to draw each flower. All instances in the document are linked to the original symbol in the Symbols panel. And here's our Symbols panel. We can see we've got some default symbols already in it, and we have additional symbol libraries and other commands that we can use with symbols. In the Layers panel, I want to make sure that the content layer is targeted, and I'll collapse those sublayers. So the layer that is targeted will be the layer that the symbols will show up on. So now in the Symbols panel, I'll click the Symbol Libraries menu button on the bottom left of the panel, and I'll choose Tiki from the menu. And there are some interesting retro Tiki looking symbols there. I'm going to click the symbol named Guitar, and it will be added to the Symbols panel. Now it's been added to the Symbols panel, and I can close the Tiki panel. With the Selection tool, I'll drag the guitar symbol from the Symbols panel onto the artwork to the center of the black t-shirt, and I'll do this twice. Now I'll select the guitar instance on the right and resize it just like I would any object, using the bounding box, holding down Shift to constrain the proportions. So you can see that we can alter instances just like other objects. Now, with that instance selected, I'll click the Flip Along Horizontal Axis option in the Properties panel. And there, that flips the guitar in the opposite direction. Now, we'll work on editing symbols. There are several ways to edit symbols, and we'll focus on one method. With the Selection tool, I'm going to double-click the selected guitar symbol instance on the artboard. And a little warning appears stating that you're about to change the original symbol. I'll just click OK. And this takes us into symbol editing mode, just like we do with other objects. I'll zoom in on that guitar, and with the Direct Selection tool, I'll click to select the blue body of the guitar artwork. And now, in the Fill Color box, I'll choose a brown swatch to change the color of the front of the guitar. And now I'll double-click away from the symbol content to exit symbol editing mode. Now you can see that it has changed the face of the second symbol instance as well. So that's what happens when we're editing symbols. When we change one symbol, it changes all of the symbols that are in our artwork. We'll work on some other ways of changing and editing symbols. One way to work with symbols is using dynamic symbols, which means we can change certain appearance attributes without affecting other symbol instances. So in the Symbols panel, I'm going to click the guitar symbol to select it, and then I'll click the Symbol Options button at the bottom of the Symbols panel. And I want to select Dynamic Symbol, and then click OK. And the dynamic symbol will allow us to change an individual instance of a symbol without affecting the other symbols. So with the Direct Selection tool, I'll select the curved body shape of the guitar instance on the right. And we can see in the Control panel as well as the Properties panel that it now says Symbol Dynamic. And I'll change that fill color to a darker brown color. So I'll just choose a darker brown color. And there we've edited a symbol instance without affecting the other instance because it was a dynamic symbol. Now we'll work on creating our own symbols. So I'll choose the second artboard that says Symbol Artwork. And with the selection tool, I'll click the topmost musical note on the artboard. And then I'll click the New Symbol button at the bottom of the Symbols panel to make a symbol from the selected artwork. And in the Symbol Options dialog box that opens up, I'll change the name to Note 1, and I'll make sure that Dynamic Symbol is selected, just in case we want to edit these later. And I'll click OK. So there's our new Note 1 symbol in the Symbols panel. And I'll go back to the T-shirt in the first artboard. And I'll drag the Note 1 symbol from the Symbols panel 4 times onto the artwork. And then I'll resize some of the notes, move them around a little bit, just like we would any typical object. And you can see that I'm just using the bounding box to increase the size and turn them a little bit, just like any other object. So now I'll go back to the second artboard and select the bottom musical note. And this time I'll just drag it into the Symbols panel instead of choosing the new symbol icon. And I'll name it Note 2, and I'll make sure that Dynamic Symbol is selected. I'll click OK, and now that second note appears on our symbol panel. And I'll go back to the first artboard with the T-shirt, and I'll drag just one instance of Note 2 symbol onto the T-shirt, and I can copy it just by pressing a modifier key, either Option on the Mac or Alt on Windows, just like we would copy any other object. We can copy symbols in the same way. And I'll make a few more copies. And again, I'll resize them and turn them a little bit. So we also have some interesting options when working with symbols. We can easily replace symbols with other symbols. So I'm going to select one of the Note 2 symbol instances on the artboard, and either the Control panel or the Properties panel, we can replace the symbol by clicking that drop-down menu next to the Replace Symbol field. And I'll choose Note 1 to replace with Note 2. And you can see how it easily changed that. And it also applied the transformations that we had used for that original symbol. Now I'm going to double-click the Note 2 symbol thumbnail in the Symbols panel to go into symbol editing mode. I'll zoom in on the note and select it with the selection tool. And then I'll change the fill color in the Properties panel to a light gray swatch. And then I'll double click away from the symbol to exit symbol editing mode. And we can see how it changed the color of all those symbols. And another way to select a group of symbols is to select one of the symbols and then choose Select, Same, and Symbol Instance. So that's another way to select all instances of a symbol at once. Now we'll work on breaking a link to a symbol. Sometimes we may need to edit specific instances on the artboard, and we can do that by either creating a dynamic symbol or breaking the link to the symbol. Just going to rearrange my objects here so they look a little nicer. So with the selection tool, I'll click to select the guitar symbol instance on the left. And either in the Control panel or in the Properties panel, I'll click the Break Link button. And when I do that, we can now see that the object has a series of paths, and it's defined as a group at the top of the Properties panel. So now it becomes just a piece of artwork, just like any other artwork we may have drawn. It's no longer a symbol. And I'll select the Direct Selection tool and click the top small blue circle at the top of the guitar and just make a copy of that. So there's an introduction to symbols and all the things that we can do with them They can be very handy in our artwork by duplicating something many times by not continually redrawing it, and it also saves file size in our document.